Today we're going to talk about turning our telephones into a tag for a CenTrak Omni with running the LoneProtect application. Okay, there are a lot of applications for this. Essentially, everybody's carrying their phones. Now we want to be able to track the phones and use the phones to trigger alarms. That's a big deal right now. And if, Tim, you were talking about standing up hospitals quickly, it could be used as well. I'm going to show you how it could be used for nurse presence without any kind of infrastructure. So yeah, that could be a big deal. So this is our fourth webinar in the series. We've done the infant mother matching. We've done the COVID applications. We've done how to share events and locations with third-party systems. And today we're talking about the LoneProtect application. So what's nice, we're spending short sessions, kind of deep diving into each one of these topics, as opposed to like when we have the partner forum where we try to cover everything in 2 days, give it in bite-sized chunks. So what are the solutions that we can do with this tag? And these are just examples, right? Community outreach. So that is when a facility now wants to allow seniors to remain in their homes, but they want to supervise them and service them in their homes. Therefore, when the nurse gets to the home, first of all, you want to put a tag on the patient when he's at his home. He can call for assistance. They can answer, and the staff in the facility can answer the call from the home. And then when they visit, the system knows that that staff member has visited, and that staff member can then escalate the call wherever that staff member may be, right? Lone workers, so security guards walking around everywhere, they want to be able to have a tag on them, wear it in a pouch, such as this one, and they want to be able to detect falls, so it's man down, and all of that without having to have to put a full infrastructure in. And if they're, for example, let's say it's a Brinks worker, right, delivering bags of money places, then they want to have a tag on them that will trigger an alarm whether they're outdoors, indoors, or wherever they are, and that alarm will contain location information. Mobile PERS, similar application. PERS stands for Personal Emergency Response System. And that way we can have a PERS and that would work indoors and give them room location, and outdoors give them GPS location. Notify family via SMS. So you want the application to be able to know when there is an alarm to send it out as an SMS. Low-cost nurse presence. So we're going to talk about how by combining with NFC labels, we're going to be able to stick these up and basically wand the phone over, present the phone to the NFC label. Boom. That smart tag or that LPAS tag, which is the phone, now relocates to this reader. This is now a reader in Omni, right? The NFC tag. And then, yeah, that's great for wireless nurse call and for, as Tim, you were saying, standing up hospitals really quick. I'd like to just stress the fact that even though we're talking about pairing a tag, right, with a phone, the tag is not the tag in Omni. It is the phone that's the tag in Omni, right? So the phone with the unique identifier of the phone, that's the tag, right? So the phone is the smart tag. Here's the phone running the application. The tag itself is basically a user interface, and it enables indoor tracking with LF. So the phone might be in your pocket and you want to trigger an alarm. All you need to do is squeeze the tag, or if you fall, the tag detects the fall, transmits Bluetooth to the app. The app then communicates back with Omni, right? But it's the app, it's the phone that is the tag in Omni, and I'll demonstrate that in a moment. We don't need the tag to be enrolled in Omni. The phone can communicate with Omni via direct LAN or via the cloud. So you can link via the Microsoft Cloud that we've done, or you can just put in a direct IP address of the server, whether that be remote or local. LPAS Shield BLE triggers the alarm, it detects falls, and it detects LF for indoor location. So these tags perform three functions. One, it's a user interface. Two, it detects falls. So when you tip it and it goes to a pre-alarm, then when it alarms, same as the regular LPAS version, the non-BLE version, but this BLE, it also transmits BLE to you. By the way, it also transmits regular 433 LPAS. So you can use this tag when you're in the facility. It'll communicate with the bus, so for reliability, you don't necessarily need the phone. But when the senior wants to leave the site, then as long as they have their phone in their pocket, this same tag can trigger the alarm, and the app will report the location based on GPS. Okay, and finally, it detects LF indoors. So even though the phone is the tag, they both move past an LF, then you get the LF location change for this device, right? And in a moment, I'll demonstrate that. Resident access point, again, we can put this phone, or it could be a tablet, put it stationary. This would be the access point for this tag. So it's got a very good range. We have a power amplifier here, good range on the BLE, easily cover an apartment, and they press the button on the tag, that goes to the phone, and then out to the central station, wherever that may be, which is running Omni, right? So that's another architecture. Let's have a quick demonstration here. So if I look at this here that I'm holding in my hand is nurse's phone. Okay, I got a pre-alarm, as you can see up on top. But when I move the LF exciter, let me turn on the camera. Let's show you guys this. Hold on. So stop the thing. Give me a second here. Okay, so here's the app running the LoneProtect. Here's the tag. And I've got two LFs here. I've got wall and low wall. So you don't see me moving my tag. Oops, let me move it away from the NFC devices. I'm moving the tag to the wall. As you can see, the nurse's phone relocated to MAT 104 wall, right? But when I move it down below, it's going to relocate to low wall. So essentially, it's the phone that's relocating, not the tag, but the tag is sending the LF message to the phone. If I, okay, let's move on to showing another means of location, right? Another indoor, somebody, question? Oui? No? Okay, if we now take our phone, and I have two NFC labels here. So let's say I'm sticking the NFC label on a wall. Hey, I simply, as you can see, I put it, you heard the beep, and this is showing the location as being NFC black. If I now move the phone to NFC, now you can see it showing NFC red. So the location has changed. I can put them on the maps, and later I'll show you how we use that for nurse presence. Okay. Another thing is if we go to the alert, and pardon me for using EV2 here, but whatever, it's kind of easier to swap screens. I am going to trigger an alarm with the tag. And notice I've gotten the alarm as it appears on my app. Again, I squeeze this tag, and I'm getting duress, panic initiated, near, and it gives me the address. But the location is my last indoor location, NFC red, which is interesting. Okay, I'm going to dismiss that. It's still open, and even though I cleared it on the phone, it's still open in the back end in Omni, right? I can close that event. Now, I want to show you something about location here. I'm jumping around a little bit. I'll apologize for that. I'm going to move the tag. It's now stuck in the NFC red, which is fine. That's the last beacon that it saw. In this case, it's an NFC label. I'm going to move it to the room low wall. That, in my floor logic, has given it the ability now to relocate to an outdoor geofence. Right? So if let me just, as you can see now, I pressed the front button on the tag, didn't trigger an alert because I didn't define an alert for it, but the location, it would have relocated once we got a supervision message, which it sends once a minute. David's campus is now a geofence. If I go to the my setup, and I can see, let's say, let's go to System Geofence Manager. I see I've defined a polygon here on my Google map where my building where I live is right in the center, right? And the name of this geofence, as you can see in readers, is where's my readers? All readers. David's campus. So the telephone has now relocated into a location called David's campus. I can define location alert so that when it leaves David's campus, then alert. I can define multiple geofences. For example, let's say you have a senior and you want to be notified if that senior deviates from a certain perimeter of the facility, or you have a case where you have someone who's being isolated and he's given permission to go just to the supermarket and back. You can create perhaps a geofence, and if he deviates from that, if that telephone deviates out of any known geofence, then it will locate into a special location called outside, which is created by default in every system. That means it's not in an indoor location, nor does its GPS coordinates comply with any of the existing geofences, so it goes to outside. And that's a location in as far as Omni is concerned. Right, so we saw how, let's go back to our presentation. Oh, good. That we've got location using detects LF for indoor location, and we get GPS for outdoor location. Okay, what are some of the features? CenTrak Omni geofences we just discussed. What are the type of the events that we can get from the application? So one is the application press. So let's just go into here now. As you can see, if I press on my phone, then I get the manual duress, right? That's a alert indicating that the person has pressed the phone. So you can do the entire solution without a tag, right? And a person can call for assistance. So let's say a nurse arrives, we get her indoor location using NFC, let's say, or even GPS, whatever, and then she wants to call for assistance, that there's an emergency, she can then press on the phone. So you have a total solution just with the phone without a tag. What does a tag offer? It offers the ability to trigger a call without having to have to pull out the phone, and it gives you the LF as well for indoor location for the phone. But you can run the whole solution with only the phone. What else? Tag press or pull cord, right? So the same thing that you can achieve with the plain LPAS lone worker tag or the LPAS shield, you can do via BLE. So when it falls, and I can demonstrate the fall. So if we, my alerts, okay, I'm going to tilt the tag. Right, horizontally. I got a pre-alarm, and it's going to start beeping. And after 15 seconds, I should get the fall alarm. There we go. So we got fall detected near Chafetz Chaim Street 27. That's my address. And great. So that all works. Tag lost. Okay, so if the tag, I'm not going to demonstrate to that now. I have to bring it way out of this, out of the apartment. And if the phone loses communication with the tag, then it will alert. That's a very important feature of the system and is necessary if you want to make sure that the tag is always with the phone. Hopefully, when we develop a bracelet with a tamper, then that's an even more important feature. In other words, a BLE bracelet with a tamper. The phone lost. So if the phone loses communication with the server, then you can get an alert on the server and an alert on the phone. So the phone will start honking, I lost communication with the server, to make sure that the user knows, as far as, especially because of liability, the user has to know that the phone has lost communication with Omni. And tag low battery. As you can see in the top of the app, you can see that you've got the icons for the state of the battery of the tag. And again, location 3 types. You have GPS. It reports the street address to Omni, and it also, the alerts will show on a Google map. We have a Google map that pops up on an alert in Omni showing the location on a geo map. And of course, with this GPS, we could do geofences and report location based on a geofence. LF location, as we demonstrated, when we paired the tag with the phone and went from LF to LF, the phone location now reported the LF location, and we demonstrated the NFC. Right? So you can easily stick up $2 NFC in each one of your rooms. Nurse enters the room, presents her phone to the NFC. We now have relocation of the phone in that room. Now, let me try to quickly demonstrate a scenario. If you recall, when we were talking about the COVID applications, we did quick setup of a nurse call, a wireless nurse call system. So what I'm going to do is...
Nurse needed.
Now the nurse is needed at this pull cord, right? Now this input is in the same room as, I can't remember if it was the red or the black, but I think it's the red. Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. I presented the phone to the red NFC, and it closed the call, right? Because we had a location that the nurse was present in that room, we associated the input with the phone using a map polygon, and then we use the auto action of location cancel to close the call, right? So any of you who has ever used that for nurse call, you can easily get, and of course you get the reporting that the nurse, how long the calls were open, who closed the calls. You get nurse call statistics and patient call statistics, all that standard Omni functionality, right? So that's pretty neat, right? So you have a totally wireless system. You have a tag triggering the alarm wireless, and then the nurse presence wireless with just an NFC label, $2 or even less on AliExpress. Now, again, location logic, just to repeat, while you're indoors, you can do LF and NFC. And what we're using floor logic. So we know that floor logic, you define, let's say an LF or an IR, in this case, an NFC location, as a master. So you can change floors with an NFC, you can change floors with an LF, all fine. Then you can go outdoors. So you define one of the LFs. In this case, I defined the low LF on my wall here as the master for the outside floor, where I can then have the geofences there. So as long as the phone passes the indoor LF, it will remain indoors and only relocate to another LF or another NFC. But once the tag leaves the facility and hits that LF on the way out, now it can relocate to a geofence, to the GPS coordinates, and move around, and you get the outdoor location. So it's pretty neat that you can get indoor and outdoor location of your phone and play with using a standard Omni feature such as floor logic to be able to present. Even if you don't see an LF at the time, and you don't see an NFC at a particular time, right? When you press the button, it's not under an LF necessarily, but it won't jump out to the GPS coordinates because you're already bound to the indoors using the floor logic. What are some of the limitations? So iOS is not yet available. We have some issues with restrictions, like we can't start the application automatically and then start reporting. There are some security limitations on iOS, so we're trying to see if we can work around that. And the NFC works when phone is unlocked. So in order for, this app will keep the phone unlocked, but even if I close the app, notice, let's see, right? I'm actually gonna kill the app, close all apps. The app's not running now. And I take my NFC and I present it to the phone, it'll automatically start up the app because this NFC is associated with this app. So the NFC starts up the app. That's great. I'll have to post a short video of how to, because you do have to write a little, you have to tell it that this is an LPAS device, an LPAS element. And there's a standard app on the phone that does that. Okay, however, if the phone is locked, then it won't read NFC. That's a security thing that Android 10 introduced, and isn't much we can do about that. So if you want to use this for nurse presence or whatever, then it has to stay unlocked, for whichever way you're going to do that. Either you keep the app running or you just program the phone that it doesn't lock. Okay. And my last slide is just on a new company that CenTrak acquired. Actually, Halma, which is the parent of CenTrak, but that's okay. It's all in the CenTrak family. And it's called Sprio. And Sprio does indoor wayfinding. So if you walk around a hospital, for example, notice I have some photos here. You put up little BLE eye beacons, or BLE beacons. Here you can see them on the parking lot, on the ceiling. I don't know if you can see it clearly. I hope so. Down below, in this picture below, we're walking through the corridor in Sheba Hospital, which is probably the largest hospital in Israel, in Tel Aviv. And walking in front here is Ari Naim. That's my CEO of CenTrak. And we're walking and testing the device. Now, what's cool is that the app will, as you're walking down the corridor, will tell you, because you give it, like in Waze or Google Maps, you give it a destination. Let's say you want to go to X-ray, right? And it'll take you, okay, now turn left, turn right. Now go up the elevator, go up to the 5th floor. And then as you get, so it'll take you. And it has some, it doesn't just show the nearest beacon because it prevents jumping around by creating pathways. And once you're on a pathway, just like when you use Waze, right? It's not, you can have parallel roads and it assumes you're on that location and you're not at the road that's parallel because there was no way to switch, right? So that's how it works. It uses very similar algorithm. And yeah, that's our new, and we're now looking at different possibilities of integration. In any case, the old Lone Worker application used to have a BLE feature in it for location. We'll probably add that as well to the latest LoneProtect. So I've exhausted my half hour almost, and opening up for questions. Let's see if I can. Anybody?
David, it's Tim.
Yeah, Tim.
The LPAS Shield tag only has LF BLE. It doesn't have IR. Is that right?
The BLE tag does not have IR. The LPAS Shield does. The one that doesn't have BLE has IR. The one that has BLE does not have IR, right? Either or, BLE or IR. Now, let me just make a comment that the old BLE tags, old, meaning the ones anyone that has been sold to date, because this is a new version, uses strictly BLE advertised messaging and does not use a connected protocol. The new Android 10 required that we use a connected protocol. It would not get the information over the advertisers. And and that was also a limitation with iOS. So we needed to reprogram, write new firmware for the tags, and also update the application to support a connected protocol. So that's a new deal here. And if you're going to order, well, BLE tags right now are not on the CenTrak price list. We do have stock, though, of several hundred of them. If we see they move, then we'll bring them into production. Not a big deal. But in the meantime, we have stock. About your question of IR, no, the BLE does not support IR. Theoretically, using the CenTrak, what they call the Gen 2 IR, where you have IR beacons, we could possibly do that, but not yet.
So if we're building a CenTrak LPAS solution that where we want to be able to utilize the shield tag indoors, then we have to be focused on LF as our location beacon rather than IR. Is that the case?
If you want to use it with the BLE, yeah, the regular LPAS shield / lone worker tag has all three technologies: RF, LF, IR, right? And so you can use infrared, LPAS infrared with that tag.
So does that, sorry, you've got me a bit confused then. So it would also has the BLE in order for you to be able to pair with your phone when you leave the facility. So what is the tag that doesn't have, I mean, what would you use the tag that doesn't have it for?
Okay, so let me clarify. I guess I'm sorry. I always make that mistake to make assumptions that whatever. There are two types of lone worker tags, right? We originally manufactured a lone worker / LPAS shield that has LF, RF, and IR only, no BLE. And then we developed a different tag with BLE, but it does not have infrared. So we had two products. One is the classic LPAS lone worker. The second is the BLE version. Two part numbers, separate products, behave differently. The BLE has LF and therefore reports via both the 433 as well as the BLE, it reports the LF location. So it's reporting both to the phone, and if you happen to have LPAS receivers, it'll also report to the LPAS receivers those LF events. Okay, I don't know if that answered your question, Tim.
Okay, I'll ponder that and come back to you.
Okay, but if you want to, if the idea is, one of the classic applications for this technology is that you've got tags inside a facility, and then the senior wants to go out of this facility, or even the nurse for community outreach, then the tag can function indoors with LF and RF, and then when you leave the facility, it can continue to be in contact with Omni essentially via the phone, right? And that's how you can move. And the same tag can be used both indoors and out, only that tag does not support infrared.
Okay, I've got it now. That's cool. Thanks, David.
Yeah. Anybody else?
Yes, David?
Yes,
Filippo. Yeah, just a question. So I remember you said during the presentation about the possibility to have another tag, I mean a WTD tag with the Bluetooth connection. I understood right? That will be available, and when? Just to use it instead the shield.
Actually, there's discussion going on right now about, I'm actually in discussion with my CEO about implementing a bracelet with tamper and BLE, because that opens up a lot of markets. It opens up the vendor monitoring. It opens up.
It opens all the market in the private application, I would say.
Correct, correct. So yeah, we're working on it, but not in the near future. I mean, it's a totally new product that does not exist and
Okay.
needs to be developed.
Okay, but this is something that CenTrak is thinking. This is the questions. I mean, it's a plan for the
we're
future.
definitely thinking about it, and as we speak, I'm having a correspondence with Mr. Naeem on this necessity, and he seems to agree. The question is, how do we get from here to there most efficiently?
David, I'm just thinking that maybe the way to influence that is by having it asked, that particular functionality being requested by as many people as we can to try and push them in the right direction. If you get the drift.
Yeah, that would be nice. Yeah, sure. We're being recorded now, but yeah, that's not bad.
Mm-hmm. David, another question. The NFC functionality does work only with the LoneProtect app or also with the Iris Go, Omni Go? I mean,
no, actually, I'm kind of thinking that we have to merge these two apps. But right now, no, it's only, you're running two, you can run both apps on your phone, obviously, but the OmniGo does not have the NFC functionality. It would make sense to have it. I agree. It's something that we should implement. Whether we implement it by just taking that feature and adding it to OmniGo, then I have to add the Smart Tag in Omni for OmniGo. It's not trivial. Probably the best idea would be to take both applications and kind of merge them. And that's something that, yeah.
I was thinking application in case of wandering, and we want to cancel the call via, if you're thinking a wandering system that you notify the calls via app OmniGo,
Yep.
Iris Go, I want to call it. In that case, you can use the NFC functionality to erase the
You could use it today.
alert.
You can use it today.
You must install True App on the phone.
And by the way, let me interrupt for a second. I'd like to thank Filippo, because actually the concept of the NFC initiated with you, Filippo, and Zetre. I think you guys asked for it, goes back 3 years or so. Good idea.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the next questions that came from us is, because we do some tests with in the past with the older app Shield, Help Us Shield, is the duration of the battery in cases you have an important use. I mean, if you use outside via GPS. Did you have calculate now an idea of duration of the battery of the
battery on the
smartphone?
tag?
No, for the tag I think it's not a problem. For the phones, that's a big deal.
I agree, it's a big deal. Obviously when we develop it, we try to keep it as efficient as possible. I think typically, as in most apps, the question is the screen running? Is the screen on or off? The screen is the greatest consumer of your battery. It's not necessarily the functionality of the BLE or of the NFC or any of that. It's all about the screen. So if you can keep the screen off, then that's ideal. And then you'll have greater battery. If you keep the screen on, which might be of interest, but you're gonna impact the battery life. But that's a good question. I don't have detailed, just like nobody is going to give you predictions about battery life for any app, because you don't know what else is running on the phone. Yeah, well, no problem to have the screen off and have the NFC work. The problem is locking the screen. You don't want the screen locked, otherwise, but if the screen goes into hibernation, I don't think the NFC is going to work. The BLE should work. Locking is fine. Hey, Boris. Boris is the developer of the LoneProtect application. You can turn on your mic, Boris. Tell us if I'm mistaken about the locking.
Yeah, hello, everybody. Basically, screen locking is not a problem at all. You can have it locked as usual, your phone and everything. and the phone itself will manage the positioning and everything. For example, when you're at home, you're able still to get a position, a relative good position based on the cells, the GSM cells, based on the GPS, last GPS coordinates and the accelerometer. Most Google phones have this option to have you located no matter that you are not exposed to open air, which means GPS connectivity. So Google phones themselves optimize the battery life of positioning, which means that locking is not a problem, and having a good consumption is fine. So basically, the phone should be able to run the whole day without any problems. The only small thing we should have in mind is that the phone should be unlocked only when you check the NFC chip. This is the only time when the phone should be unlocked. Otherwise, you can keep it locked off and so on. It will keep running. If an alarm is occurring, it will immediately trigger the application, and the application alarm screen will unlock for itself the phone. This is how it is organized.
Great. Okay. I know I jumped around a little bit today, and I try to get through a lot of material, as often happens. If you have any additional questions, you're welcome to send them to me, call me, whatever, media, WhatsApp the group, because if your question affects everybody, so it's good to ask it online. Okay, great. Thank you, everybody, for coming today. We had a good turnout. 27.
Thanks, David.
Yeah.
Thank you, David. Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Take care.
David.
Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.